Alright, just a quick update on what I've been up to recently. Little bit of backstory for this one. So this, I was on Amazon a couple of months ago, and I needed a new little Bluetooth speaker. And there was one on there that was £80, discounted to £10. So I knew it was going to be junk. It was basically a little Chinese Bluetooth speaker. This is the PCB inside. The only reason I'm keeping it is for parts. When it came through, it was clearly junk. The auxiliary import, that's probably not going to focus, but you can see, look, it's broken off. Like, all the solder points are broken. The Bluetooth itself is fine. The only problem was it was in mono, because when they screwed in the speakers, or when they screwed the chassis together, one of the screws went straight through a speaker wire. So even though there were two speakers in it, only one of them ever worked. And also the SD, the SD card reader has a ding in it. I don't know how that happened. And the battery itself, even though all of this was screwed together, the battery itself was put in with so much epoxy, I could barely get it out. I got it out, and it came to it was outputting about 3. I think it was supposed to be like 3.7, but it wasn't even outputting that. It was a junk battery as well. So I'm keeping this basically for parts, but the thing was garbage. So that was money. I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't realise it would be that bad. I mean, screwing through one of your own speaker cables is pretty awful. So rather than repair this and have a fixed rubbish speaker, what I did was I just stripped it and kept it for parts. I took both the speakers out. They seemed okay. And then I was given this, which is a 100-watt amplifier, single board amplifier. Rather than use a battery pack, because this thing can take quite a few volts. What I did was, rather than running a 3.7 volt battery pack, what I decided to do was cut a USB adapter. So this was, let's focus up. There you go. So this is one of those little adapters that you get that you can plug a micro into a standard Type A socket. So what I did was I cut the wire and just trimmed the data cables back. They're back there, and the power and the ground cable I just ran into the little block down there. So instead of running a battery, I can just run it straight off any micro USB. The two speakers, I wired up new cables, put them in there. This is the leftover perspex from the, everything that I found. This perspex, someone just threw it away, so I found it and took it and put it in here. And like the Exodus box, I've rounded off, let's just focus a little bit, there we go. They've rounded off all the corners, so that's quite nice. These are the two speakers. The only thing I might do is either spray paint or stick on some kind of circle, because you can see the hot glue. So I might put a little black ring or a white ring. I've got the black and white spray paint left, so I might just either mask it off and spray it, or just spray something, cut it to the right shape, and then glue that on. And this knob on top, this is actually from my bass guitar. But what I've done is I've just pulled the knob off for now, just so it looks nicer. Basically, what I wanted was an old 80s style boombox. So the reason I mounted it this way with the controls on the top is because that would look maybe like a bit like an aerial, and that kind of mimics the cassette deck sort of motif. So it kind of looks more like an old 80s boombox that way. Also, I could run that Bluetooth into it, but the Bluetooth receiver on that was garbage anyway. So at the moment, I'm just using auxiliary input. I've just cut a hole here. So you can just put an auxiliary thing in there, but anything can go into that terminal block up the top. This is 100 watts. It is insanely loud, like incredibly loud. I'm only running 5 volts in through the little power supply down the bottom. Oh, and by the way, that's flush as well. I wanted it to be like as flush as possible. So you can see I've just hot glued it in. I've hot glued the PCB on the back. It doesn't look pretty, but it's supposed to be more functional than, like, all of the stuff I make for myself looks rubbish. But at least the corners are nice. Like, the only thing I've got that looks good for me is the Exodus box, because I actually spent a bit of time on that. So what I've got here, I've got a power supply using my daughter's lovely pink auxiliary cable. I'm just going to plug that into the top. Once I can see it, because I'm looking through the viewfinder. There we go, that's in. And I'm just going to get some power. Yeah, I can't look and do that at the same time. All right, yep, power's in. So I'm not going to push this thing to full volume because, like I say, this is a 100-watt single PCB amplifier. Just for comparison, that is a 30-watt Marshall, and that speaker beside it, I have no idea what that is, but that's even louder than that. So yeah, I'm not even going to push this up to full. I mean, again, only 5 volts, so we're not expecting a lot. But when you click it on, it's got a nice little LED inside. I'm going to put it to about there. No buzzing or anything. So it's quite quiet at the minute. I'm going to turn it up slowly. Really nice sound on it. These speakers are actually surprisingly good. And I am super surprised by how loud it can go. That's about halfway. It's really subtle. You can get it nice and quiet, or you can just, I mean, I can try, hang on, let's just try hammering it, hang on. Feel out a snake within the handshake, get the drop on it, then he exploited the mistake. Protecting his goal, we showed by the flakes. Yeah, so, yeah, super happy with that. That is my, that's been, not my latest project, but that's basically what I've been working on. In the meantime, this tiny little boombox that essentially is just going to be mine for work, because I've got monitors, like speakers at work, but they're garbage. And this was, the idea was that even though that sticks out, there's not a lot I can do about that. The idea was that it's small enough to fit in a pocket. Like, it's not that big, to be honest. And other than the speakers and this little hole hit for the auxiliary, it's completely flat. So you're not going to get dust or grime or whatever. And the speakers, they're sealed all the way around on the inside, so you can just blow them out. So, yeah, I mean, that bass knob is just to stop it getting knocked or, you know, what else. You know, I'm going to replace it eventually. But, yeah, that'll do for now. Anyway, so, yeah, no Raspberry Pi, but that's kind of what I've been up to. All right, cool. Peace.